everybody, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk to you all about all of the books that I read in June and July. It's definitely been a little while since the last time I filmed the wrap-up. I did not film one for May and I also did not film one for June, so I decided to combine June and July today to talk about all of the books that I've read recently. We are also in a different setup today because I am recovering from a pretty bad migraine attack last week, so I didn't feel like, you know, standing today. I decided to sit down. It also gives you like a different view of my bookshelves. It's definitely a different background than what we usually have. I'm a little bit troubled, honestly, looking at the viewfinder, but it's fine. You've probably also noticed that I haven't been as active as I used to be here on YouTube, and that's also because of the migraine. I have chronic neurological migraines. They're really a pain in the ass, and so sometimes it's just very difficult for me to find some time to film. I've also been in a bit of a creative burnout these last couple of months, so yeah, it's very hard to live, love, and laugh in those conditions, never mind filming. Can you tell that humor is one of my coping mechanisms? Anyway, so yeah, it's definitely been harder to find the energy to film lately, but I really wanted to talk about all of the books that I've read in June and July, so this is what we are going to be doing here. I also don't know how many videos I'm gonna be able to upload in August because I'm really trying to rest because I'm actually traveling this month, which is very exciting, but is also going to take up a lot of my energy. So yeah, thank you so much for being patient with me. Every single time I do like one of those little life updates, I feel like nobody cares, and I feel like it's going to be very hard for me to like not edit this part of the video out. So anyway, let's talk about the book because clearly that is what I'm comfortable talking about on camera. So starting in June, we have 5 books to talk about, and the first one I actually have to take you way back in May to actually be able to talk about it because it is the second book to a duology. So the first book that I need to talk about is The Golem and the Genie by Helen Wecker. This is a historical fantasy novel that I have seen going around for a couple of years, and it is basically about a golem and a genie, as the title suggests, who both somehow end up in New York, I feel like in the 1800s, and they meet at some point during the first book and they realize that their paths are actually interconnected. This is a very good historical fantasy. If you love the kind of book that doesn't really have a plot but is just vibes and atmosphere, you would actually really love this one. If you love something that is more fast-paced, I would not recommend this because it is very slow. Not a lot of things happen until the final fourth of the book, but it has really great characters. It also focuses a lot on community and the immigrants who live in New York at that time. I really love the historical setting. I thought it was so well done, and it also touches on a lot of folklore that I thought was absolutely fascinating. So yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, then I would definitely pick this one up. And then I also listened to the audiobook for the sequel, which is called The Hidden Palace, and this one actually came out I think last year, and the first one came out I think in like 2015 or something like that, so it was a long time coming, definitely. And in this one we basically follow the same characters as in the first book, but we also have new characters that add a lot to the story. The first one was kind of like open-ended, and I really loved that about it, so I wasn't sure going into the sequel if I was going to enjoy it, and I definitely think that it adds to the story, but I wouldn't say it's absolutely necessary. So if you love the first one as a standalone, you don't necessarily have to read the sequel. But yes, this was once again very atmospheric, very character driven, and it had all of the same elements that I really liked about the first one, but I do think that sometimes I really wanted to shake the characters because they were going through the same exact conflicts as in the first one, which was a little bit frustrating. But all in all, I think this was a great book, and once again I would definitely recommend this duology if it sounds appealing to you. Then the next book that I need to talk about is actually right here, and it is The Wolf and Woodsman by Ava Reid. This is once again a fantasy set into a historical setting, and it says on the back that it is inspired by Hungarian history and Jewish mythology, and that is definitely one aspect of the book that drew me in, but also I had seen it all over Twitter because so many people were raving about the hate to love relationship that there is in this book, so I was definitely very intrigued about it. And I have to say, I I think the hype got me for this one because I ended up not really enjoying this book. I thought the plot wasn't really going anywhere. I thought it was very meandering. The characters were like going on a quest and then going back to the city and then going back out on the same quest that they hadn't completed before, and it was just definitely very frustrating. I also didn't really feel the connection between the two main characters. It's kind of like this witch and like witch hunter romance kind of situation, but it just really did not do it for me. I felt like it was so boring the entire time and I didn't really care about the characters, sadly. Then the next book that I read was Weather Girl by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I actually picked up this romance book because of Hilary from Melted Books, because she talked about it a lot. So when I saw it at the library, I decided to snatch it and read it, and I really enjoyed that romance book. It's basically about this girl who is a weather forecaster. Is that how you say it in English? She basically works for this TV channel and she does the weather basically, and she and one of her coworkers are actually trying to get their bosses to get back together because they want the ambiance to be better at the station. They're constantly fighting, and so they think that if they got them back together, their workplace would be better, and in the process of doing that, obviously they fall in love with one another as well. And it was just such a heartwarming and very sweet romance. It also talks a lot about mental health, so if that's something that you enjoy, I would definitely recommend this one. It deals with more serious topics, but it's also just overall a grand time. And then because I had really enjoyed Weather Girl, I decided to give this author's other book a try, and that book is The X-Talk, which was so popular, I feel like, when it came out a year ago. In case you haven't heard about this one, it's basically about these two co-workers who work at a radio station and they pretend to be exes in order to produce a podcast called The X-Talk, in which they talk about their relationship and why they broke up, supposedly, because it's all fake. And I really enjoyed this one. I think I preferred this one to Weather Girl. I felt like this one was very funny. The banter between the characters was amazing. The steamy scenes were so good and had me almost yelling in public transport many times. Yeah, this one was just such a wild ride and I really enjoyed it. I do think that the end wrapped up very fast, but that is something that happens a lot in romance, I feel like. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun with this book and I would definitely recommend it. And then the last book that I read in June was Ikis, Shara Wheeler by Casey McQuiston. And this one, like all of the other Casey McQuiston's books that I've read, did not disappoint. In case you don't know, this is basically about this girl Chloe, who is in her final year of high school, and she has this kind of like art nemesis called Shara Wheeler, and they've basically been competing for everything, like all of the grades, all of the honors, ever since they started high school, until one day Shara suddenly kisses Chloe and then completely disappears and leaves behind these little notes that Chloe, Rory, and what's his name? Smith. His name is Smith. So Chloe, Rory, and Smith have to basically try to decipher all of these little notes because they're the three people that Shara actually kissed before disappearing. And this book was just so much fun. Like all of Casey McQuiston's other novels, it has a lot of heart. It's very funny. The banter between the characters is amazing, and this one also had like this mystery element to it and this wild chase, so I definitely really enjoyed that aspect of it as well. And also all of the topics that it touches, like queer identity and just figuring yourself out as a young adult. So yeah, I would definitely recommend this one as well. It was just so great. Then we are moving into July, and I feel like the lighting of this video definitely shifted. Anyway, the first book that I completed in the month of July was A River Enchanted by Rebecca Russ. This is once again a historical fantasy novel. I've read so many of these lately. This is a novel inspired by Scottish folklore in which we follow our main character, who is a bard, and basically he left this island where he used to live to go and train as a bard, but at the beginning of the book he is called back over there because some of the young girls of the island are disappearing, and the people of the island believe that maybe the spirits are involved, and because he is a bard and he can communicate with them through music, they think that maybe he could help find the girls again. And this is such a beautiful novel. It is so beautifully written. It is so atmospheric. The characters are very endearing. There's also a great love story at the center of it, and I just absolutely adored this book. It left me on the edge of my seat the entire time, and I cannot wait for the sequel, which is coming out later this year. If you really enjoy folklore and music and very eerie atmosphere and mystery, then you would absolutely enjoy this one, and I feel like so many people need to read this book. It is just so good, and it kind of got me out of my reading slump, so honestly it deserves all of the love and praise. Then the next book that I read was Bloom, written by Kevin Panetta and illustrated by Savannah Ganucheau. This is a very sweet graphic novel about these two boys who fall in love while they're working in a bakery, and I don't think that I need to say more than this. It has beautiful illustrations, it's all in blue tones, and it's just absolutely amazing, and a lot of people actually recommend this one to people who really enjoy Heartstopper, and I definitely see the resemblance there. It has a lot of heart, it's very funny and sweet. So yeah, if you enjoy queer graphic novels, then I feel like this one is a must read, and I was so happy to finally get my hands on it at the library because I had been thinking about reading this one for years, and I overall really enjoyed it. Then the next book that I read was Lore Olympus Volume 2. I don't have my copy right now because my friend is actually borrowing it from me, but I feel like at this point, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know what Lore Olympus is because I talk about it non-stop, and obviously really enjoyed this second volume. It is amazing, spectacular, never done before, great, absolutely magnificent, and everybody should read this graphic novel. So if you still haven't, get on it. It's a Hades and Persephone modern retelling. It's so funny, so cute, so great, full of angst. You need it in your life. And then finally, the last book that I read in July was yet another romance book, and that was The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane. This is a book that I had seen going around once again on Book Twitter and BookTube, and probably it's also going around on BookTok, but I don't have a BookTok. And it was also highly recommended by my friend Cal over on Retrieving Books, so I decided to finally give it a read, and I was definitely not disappointed. This is a queer romance between two men, and we basically follow Nev? Oh my gosh. Nev? Who knows? We basically follow our two main characters, Dev and Charlie. Dev is the assistant producer for this show called Ever After, which is basically The Bachelor, I think, but like in a fairy tale setting. And Charlie is actually the prince for the latest season, and so they cross paths. They don't really get along at first, but then they start to get to know one another. Charlie is very antisocial and very awkward, and Dev is basically just trying his best to make him comfortable in this crazy setting. And so yeah, they start to spend a lot of time together, and they slowly fall in love, and it's a lot of drama because Charlie is not supposed to be falling in love with Dev. He is supposed to be falling in love with one of the contestants of the show. So as you can imagine, it's a lot of things happen. This book was definitely so much fun, and it was so cute, but I think one of the things that I will remember the most about it is all of the great representation that it has, because Charlie is neurodivergent, he's also on the asexuality spectrum, and Dev suffers from depression, and you know, they're both figuring out their queerness and their self-worth, and it was just so well done. All of it was so good. There were so many touching moments that were just absolutely amazing, and yeah, I just really love this book. It definitely is one of those that make you believe in romance all over again. Alright, here we are. These were all of the books that I read in June and July. If you have read any of them, please let me know what you thought about them, because I'm always very curious about that. Also, let me know which was the best book that you read recently, because I always love to get recommendations from all of you. Like I said at the beginning, I don't know when I will be uploading a new video because I'm just really trying to rest in August, and then I'm gonna be so busy traveling everywhere. But I will also try to vlog all of this actually, so let's hope that I can muster the energy to do that and then edit it for all of you. But in case you want to follow with my travel adventures, and you will. There might be familiar faces appearing into them. You might want to follow me on Instagram. The link is always in the description box below. Also, if you want more details about all of my thoughts about the books that I talked about in this video, my Goodreads is also down there. I'm trying to update it. I'm doing the best that I can. So with all of this said, I hope that you really enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!